Hi Virgo, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol, and this is going to be a general reading for you. There are no dates on this reading because I trust that when it comes into your feed and when you watch it, it's meant for you. And so I think I have all my cards. Yes, in today's reading, I'm going to be using the Tarot of the Abyss. And I'm going to clarify it with the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. And as you can see, I'm shuffling the cards. My favorite way to shuffle. And because I don't ruin my cards. I used to, shuffle that way, but then realized my cards were bending. So anyway, enough about my shuffling. We're going to be doing a really good reading today. Not a reading that you might particularly, want to listen to, because it's about facing your fear and conquering your fears. And, I noticed that some people are definitely going to be clicking off, because when our fear comes up in our system, we don't want to look at it. That's one of the things, is we'll try to block it and distract ourselves. And I know that a lot of times on this channel, because it's all about healing yourself, there are things we don't want to look at. We block and we push away, and fear is definitely one of them, because it's such an intense emotion in our system. And this reading is inspired by me, because I've been dealing with a lot of fear in the past few weeks with what's going on in the world, and feeling a lot of anxiety around it, and stress, and a lot of paralysis, like, what can I do about this? So it affects everything around us, and it's really hard to just, get on with your daily life. But, here's what's going on with a lot of people, I think, because we have this fear in our system and we feel paralyzed, and we can feel a lot of anxiety around it. We don't really take the time to kind of realize that, okay, I know it's coming from what's going on in the world, but what's happening is because it's in your system, it's also triggering something that's in you that needs healing. There's something about yourself. It's bringing up some of our trauma, actually, is what it's doing. And so we're going to look at exactly where's fear coming from in your life right now. What sort of situation are you sitting in right now that's causing some fear? And that's going to, give us a little bit more information about, how it's coming up in your system. And then we're going to look at how you're blocking it. Because I said earlier, we do block it. And then we're going to look at what's the origin of this fear. So where's it coming from? It's being triggered. So there's something in your childhood and your adolescence that you need to heal. And you have to, that's where this fear is coming from. So whatever's happening on the outside in this world is triggering that inside of you. And then how can you begin to release this? And so we're going to get some advice from the tarot. This is a journey. It's a process, right? Trying to heal yourself. And so the tarot gives you a little bit of advice, and then I also recommend a playlist for you or two at the end to try to help you out with whatever comes up here. And so I'm going to put you on speed dial, and I'll be back in a second. I'm going to set up your cards. Okay, Virgo, we're back. And we're going to start off at the top by where's fear showing up in your life. Well, you start off with the Eight of Pentacles, and I like the portrayal of this card, because you can see this individual that he's been putting together, placing these stones almost like these interlocking pentacles, if you like, and he's being very, very creative. And this is something, that this individual maybe has a knack for. It has, very talented, and he enjoys it because it's his passion. It's his passion, creative, interlocking pentacles. And so I'm seeing here that there's something that you want to do. There's something, your passion, you're wanting to follow a passion of yours, something maybe that you're talented at, you're creative. But there's some fear behind it. You're fearing. Oftentimes we can fear when it comes to wanting to follow our passion or a creative direction for ourselves, and that could be, something as small as doing something very different, but putting ourselves first. And that's really hard sometimes. Or there maybe is something that you really want to do, you've been wanting to do for a while. And, every time you step out to do it, it's like you get this block and this huge fear comes in. And so you have this fear right now that's blocking you from doing whatever this is. And it's a general reading. So, what are you fearing that you've been wanting to do that you're passionate about? And because you feel the strength card right here is behind it. And the strength card tells me that you don't feel like you can do this. You don't have that inner strength, and that's what the strength card is. It's like in an upright position, the strength card says, you can do this. You have everything in you. You have all the strength in you to do this, like everything. A lot of times, it refers to our emotions as well. When this individual's lifting the head of the lion and opening it up. It's like opening up that Pandora's box. And so I see here that you don't think you don't feel strong enough to be able to face the fear that you have that's associated with this passion that you have that you've been wanting to follow, but you know that there's this big fear around it. And every time it comes up, you just get blocked. You have this fear that goes, nope, you can't do it. It reminds me when I started this YouTube channel, my tarot channel, and I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it, and I prepared myself for it, and I was all ready to go. And as soon as I turned on the camera, I was like, nope, can't do it. I can't do this. I can't read these cards. There's this incredible amount of fear that I had to work through. And I don't think people see that behind the scenes. Like you see me reading here, but I had to go through exactly what you're probably going through right here. I discovered that this was, one of my gifts, and it was it was becoming a passion for me. Like, this is so thrilling and entertaining, and I love it. And then every time I'd go to do it, I was like, nope, you can't do it. I can't do this. And it was this exact same feeling right here. And then you have this interesting card that comes up at the end here, and it's the Page of Cups sideways. And the Page of Cups is probably one of the, if I had to pick a card on this table, this reading for you, is probably the most important card in this deck. And that is this little, I call him my love seeker. Everyone has this little part it's this little part of us that seeking love in all the wrong people, the wrong things. It's trying to get back that love that they didn't get when they were younger. They really are become this chameleon, and they'll change their personality for different people around you. It's an inner child of ours. It's an inner child that needs healing. And it's a very difficult one because they have the cup backing them up. They have love. It's such a strong, most powerful emotion in the world. And it has that backing them up. And so I'm thinking here you have fear of doing something because, there's this part of you that's maybe you're a people pleaser, because that can be the little love seeker. And maybe you're there's a part of you that's going, no, I can't do this because I might hurt somebody. I can't do this because it's going to affect that person. So it's that part of you, that little love seeker that needs healing, that inner child of yours that won't allow you to do this because it's going to affect someone else. And it's like you're not putting yourself first. Because maybe you've been taught you can't I'm not even looking at what's sitting over here in your unconscious, what the origin of this fear is, but there's a huge fear, and it's around this inner child of yours that's carrying this fear of, what are people going to think? Am I going to be loved? Maybe I won't be loved anymore. People aren't going to love me anymore. People might hate me. People might look at me and think, you terrible person. Why are you doing that? For following your passion, but putting yourself first and going towards what you want to do. And so this little part of you is preventing you from doing this. And so that part needs healed. It needs to be listened to. It needs to be, they need a voice. And yeah, they need healing. And so we're going to get into you know, how you're blocking it, and they're going to get into the origin of this little page right here. We won't forget about that page. In fact, I'm going to take that page and I'm going to put this little page right in the center here, so that because this reading is really going to center around this inner child of yours that needs healing, that is really, because they're that powerful. They will run this whole reading right here. They're that powerful, that part of you, that little love seeker that's wanting that love. And if you do this, you're afraid that you're going to lose that love, you know, because this is coming from childhood. And so how are you blocking this fear that's coming up for you? Because you want to do this for yourself. And how are you blocking it? Well, the Five of Wands comes up, and the Five of Wands is these two birds that are comparing these sticks that they found because they want to use it for the nest. And they're sitting there, you know, talking about how like their egos are coming out, and they're saying, you know, my stick's better than yours, and it's got the curve that we need to go into that nest, and whatever it is, it's like this critical voice that you're hearing. I call this my inner critic card. It's like you're hearing these voices that are saying to you, and it could be, you know, your ego self that's repeating the same voices that you heard when you were younger from your caretakers, that says, you know, who do you think you are, you know, wanting to do this for yourself? Like, you can't do this. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not strong enough. Who do you think you are? And these are these voices that you're hearing right now, and that's what's blocking your ability to do this. And so you have this fear in your head because you're hearing this. And you have the Six of Cups, which is my card of the inner child. Again, we can have more than one inner child. We just don't have one. Mainstream psychology says, well, we just have one. But our inner children hold our big emotions that we couldn't feel when we were younger. They hold our trauma. They hold our memories. So we have more. And this is in reverse, so it's blocked. But this card is, the Six of Cups talks about a duality. All my sixes have a duality, and you have an older child giving a younger card this a younger child a cup, and it's the cup of love, and it's an exchange, exchange of love here. There's giving and there's receiving, and so I think you're really blocking yourself. This inner critic blocks you from receiving the love that you so desperately want. It's blocking your inner child for sure. And so you're hearing these voices in your head telling you you can't do this. Who do you think you are? And so it blocks this little child right here that's just so, you know, imagine you as a child being told all those things. Who do you think you are? You can't do this. And maybe this is something you wanted to do when you were younger. Maybe you didn't know. Like, just like tarot for me, I didn't know. And so you're hearing this inner critic inside you that's coming out and, you know, just blocks you from hearing this little child that needs healing. We're going to keep going back to that page. And then you have the Empress, and the Empress is a beautiful card. She's a major arcana card. She's number 3. She's the second half of the feminine energy, feminine archetype in the major arcana. There's 2 parts. You have your High Priestess, which is number 2, and then you get the Empress. The Empress is this beautiful feminine energy of being in our body and feeling all of our emotions, and being so grounded that she makes all her decisions from her emotions. And so I'm really seeing here that you are definitely, you know, this inner critic is sitting at the front of how you're blocking it. So you're telling yourself these things, and you're blocking yourself from receiving any love, and hearing your inner child. You're blocking yourself from feeling these emotions. It keeps them at bay, right? Keeps them at bay by just keeps on saying these things to yourself and telling you that you can't do this. And then this Wheel of Fortune comes out, and this Wheel of Fortune is it's a card that talks about, I mean, it's the wheel of life. It's like things happen, changes of circumstance. There could be a change of circumstance, but I like to see this as, you know, we can, yes, things happen in our life, but it's up to us sometimes to make the changes. And I think it's almost like, you know, I'm thinking this wheel of fortune, I like to see this as a Ferris wheel. And oftentimes they stop. You just know the Ferris wheel is something that just stops. Oh, it stopped again. Got to let more people on. You got to, whatever it is, sometimes, oh, it gets stuck, you know, whatever. They forgot to push the push button, or it just seems to get stuck. That's what I look at the Wheel of Fortune as, right? But if you want to keep it moving, and I'm seeing here that, you know, feeling our emotions are what keeps us moving, that moves things out. When we feel emotions, we move them out, and we can get stuck in our body. So I think you have this fear that this inner child is holding, and it's stuck here. It keeps the Ferris wheel from turning, this Wheel of Fortune. And it's all blocked by this inner critic that's keeping all of this from turning. You know, as long as you keep telling yourself, who do you think you are? It becomes an impossible feat for you to follow this passion that you want to follow, and you don't feel like you have the strength. And so what is sitting in what's the origin of this fear? And that's what's really important, because this is where we need to heal. It's like kind of like the original source of it, and we got to go back to that in our childhood and our adolescence to really look at that and go, where is this fear coming from? Why don't I have the fear right here to do what I want to do? Why am I so caught up in pleasing all these people? And why am I so caught up? Why am I fearing that I'm going to lose people's love if I do this? And so the Seven of Pentacles comes up, and this is a card. It's in reverse, and interesting that you got the 7 here and you had the 8 as your introductory card. The 7 talks about this individual that has been committed to baking these pentacles all her life. You know, this guy, the 8 of Pentacles, that's his passion. This isn't her passion necessarily. She doesn't have a big smile on her face. I mean, he doesn't look that happy either, but normally it should have a smile. But the 7 right here, she's been doing this all her life. Whether or not she likes her job, it's just what brings in the money, right? And so it's just been something that she's always done all the time. And it's like, at the end of the day, you look at it, you end your life, and you go, is this everything? And so I think that when you were younger, because this is in reverse, I think you gave up on something when you were younger. You gave up. I think you lost hope. You gave up. You gave up on your purpose. 8 of Wands. 8 of Wands talks about, look at these geese are flying. I love watching geese. They know where they're going. They're all of them are all in line going in a certain direction. You gave up on your direction. You gave up on your purpose. And why? Because you're feeling it again. You're feeling like You're feeling this passion again about something. You put it away when you were younger, and that's why this fear is coming up. So let's look at this last card, this 2 of Cups. It's sideways here. 2 of Cups speaks about a very intimate relationship, a very healing relationship right here with this winged lion and this caduceus right here. There's this real healing relationship between these 2 individuals. And it's just the number 2, right? The Cups is all about our emotions, about love. And you gave up on love for some reason. And normally, like, this card talks about a relationship, an intimate, vulnerable, just the beginning, because it's number 2, right? The pip cards go from Ace to 10, and this is number 2. So we're still at the beginning. So this is where you learned about loving yourself. This card never refers to a relationship with someone else. It doesn't refer to that intimate relationship. You gave up on yourself when you were very young. And like I said, it was sideways here. So I think there was a part of you that learned, and here's this inner critic right here. These things that you tell yourself right now, like, who do you think you are? Why would you want to do this? This is stupid. Why would you follow your passion? These are the things that you told yourself when you were younger, that you gave up on yourself. You gave up on loving yourself. You gave up on finding out, who you, forming this really intimate relationship with yourself. Here's the Seven of Pentacles, where you gave up on yourself. Because people told you things when you were younger that made you give up on yourself. We don't just give up on ourselves when we're a child. We are told so many things where it's just like, I have to give up, because you didn't see any other way, right? And so I think what's happening is when you want to do this passion, when you want to do this, you want to take yourself into this new direction, right? I think you give up. Here's the Strength card that turns upside down here. You give up because that's what you did when you were younger. We follow the same patterns right now in our adult life as we did when we were younger, because it tells us that, okay, this pattern is going to keep coming up for you. You keep giving up. You keep giving up. You keep telling yourself to give up. Give up, give up. It's not worth it. Forget about it. Because that's what you were told when you were younger. And so you have to go back to that pain that this little love seeker of ours feels. This little love seeker needs to heal. And we do that by grieving. We have to grieve that loss of when we were younger and you had to give up. And so you sit with, I'm telling you already, I haven't even looked at what the advice from the tarot is, but you have to sit with that pain of when you were younger, of the losses that little love seeker of yours had, before you can take this step of yours, this creative step that you want to take, this fear, so much fear behind that. And so what's the advice from the tarot? Well, the Magician card comes up in reverse, and the Magician in an upright position. And this is the message that I was told in the beginning of my own healing journey for myself, from my own trauma coach, was that I had all the answers in me. And that's the last thing I wanted to hear. You have everything at your disposal to manifest anything you want. You get to do what you want. You can follow this passion of yours. I know right now that you don't think you have everything in you because you don't feel like you have that strength. And maybe you're giving up, or you've given up already. But that's coming from your childhood. And so you need to first of all realize that you have it in you. And but you have this King of Cups that's coming out to block everything. And the King of Cups, the King in my deck, I haven't had one yet. I was looking for another one in case I've already talked about it. But the King in my deck is the masculine part of us. The Queen is the feminine side, and we've had the Empress come out, which is the feminine side to us. So the masculine side to us is our ego self, and he's carrying this cup. And our ego self is a very, very petrified part in nature. Like they just are a petrified part. And so they carry this incredible amount of fear. And it's the part that comes out when we're younger, because they really are concerned about our safety, right? And so you have this part out right now, believe it or not, that is your ego self is the one that's keeping you up in your head and petrified of, don't do this. Don't go follow your passion right here. And, it'll even block this little part of you right here, this little love seeker that's coming out and wanting to please all these people. And it's petrified of emotions. It's blocking this fear that you have. It's also blocking the Six of Pentacles right here behind it. Six of Pentacles in an upright position is a card about this beggar, these two beggars, and this individual weighing out the pentacles. One beggar says, I'm worth 3 pentacles. So he's okay, I'll weigh out the 3. The other one says, I'm worth 2. And so he weighs out 2 pentacles. Had they said 10, he would have weighed that out. But it's like, no, oh, no. No, I would never ask for that, because I only think I'm worth a certain amount, right? And so there really is some unworthiness here. That whole side of you, that critic, that 5 of Wands that's saying, who do you think you are? And so there's a real call here. The universe says, you have some unworthiness that's being blocked here as well. That maybe you don't realize that because you gave up when you were younger. And I forgot to mention that, but it's coming up now, that when we give up as a child, it's because we feel like we don't matter. And so I think there's a big part of you that feels like you don't matter. Like, you're willing to please all these other people in your life and worry about everyone else and what are they going to think. But you want to follow your passion. And so that's where you get stuck, right? You get stuck in that because you're so worried about what everybody else is going to think. Because you're used to that. Because you gave up when you were younger. Because people weren't paying attention to you. Nobody was worried about what you thought. And so we bring that into our adulthood. We feel like we don't matter. A lot of shame behind that. And so I think I'm going to leave you with a playlist on fear, and also a playlist on your shame, so you can get in touch with, and I tell you about how you can journal from your feelings of unworthiness and how you don't matter, because that's very important, because I think that's what's behind a lot of this. And oftentimes when we grieve, which is what needs to be done here, you need to grieve that part of you that felt like they didn't matter when they were younger. And so when you start to grieve, really sit with that feeling of, I don't matter. And you're going to feel that shame that's going to come out. And when I grieve and I feel shame, I always cover my head, because that tells me there's some shame there. If you were told you didn't matter and it caused you to give up when you were younger, there's a lot of shame and grief behind that. And so I want you to have compassion for yourself, Virgo, for what you're working through. This is a very difficult journey, healing yourself, but it's the most important journey of your life. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye.